Hey guys, so this is the iFlight Nazgul5 V2. This is a 5-inch freestyle quad, and I'll probably keep the bench review part of this very short, but let's maybe talk first about the spec of this quad, what is on board, and then about who this is for and how it performs. Alright, so overall I would say this is still an entry-level quad with entry-level equipment on there, but still it's high quality entry-level equipment. The price is around 215 euros, which is something like $230 on Banggood at the moment, so it's really not very expensive, but not super fancy, but solid stuff that is on board. But let's look at that in a bit more detail. So let's maybe see what it weighs first. 400 grams, so it's not very light. Let's say I would say a fairly average weight for such a 5-inch freestyle quad with that much TPU parts on there. You can maybe save some weight by removing the TPU here, but it's really not necessary. It handles the weight without any problems. So it does come with these iFlight motors here. These are the E versions, so the budget versions of the Xing 2207 motors, 1800 kV. This is the 6th version I have here, and honestly, really quite solid motors, nicely made. These shouldn't be any problem. I mean, they will break in crashes like all motors do. I'm not 100% sure you will have, more luck in crashes with more expensive motors. Not necessarily. These seem to be really quite solid and perform absolutely great for the budget price of this quad. So great motor choice here. The ESC is a 30 amp BL Heli S ESC. So BL Heli S probably because it's cheaper than BL Heli 32, but at the moment, because of the chip crisis, we will see BL Heli S ESCs also in more expensive quads, because basically it is extremely difficult to even source the chips for the BL Heli 32 ESCs. It's really getting difficult to have any supply, so we will also see more higher end quads switch to BL Heli S ESCs. Unfortunately, yes, but also in most cases the performance difference isn't huge if the rest of the setup works well. So we have a basic but well working ESC, and as you see, all the solderings here are done very nicely, so the overall build quality is very high. F4 processor here on the flight controller, also basic. It's got no barometer, nothing basically. It's a standard flight controller, but it really does its job very well. No issue at all here. The VTX that you're seeing here in the back, and what I really like, this is all properly stacked here with screws, very nicely mounted. 800 milliwatt analog VTX, so 800 milliwatt, plenty of power to work with. So nothing really, limiting your range and performance here in terms of the VTX and the FC or ESC. Minus the Crossfire version, it's got the Immortal tier here in the back. It does come in different versions: Free Sky, RXSR, XM, or TBS as I have it here, or a version without receiver. The FPV camera you're seeing here is a Cadex Ratel. I'm not sure if it's the Ratel 1 or 2, doesn't say so in the specification, but anyway, really great. I really liked the analog FPV feed. It looked really good. And that's basically the electronics on board. No buzzer, nothing else. That's all you get basically. But it's enough. It's really great equipment here. And I mean, as you can see, this thing is full of TPU parts. So we do have a GoPro mount here, which I really like. So I tried this with the GoPro 9, and it carried the weight fine. I mean, you could really feel that the GoPro Hero 9 is quite heavy, but you can use it with a Hero 9 if you want to. No problem, it's got enough power. Then we have some TPU parts here to protect the arms, TPU parts here in the front. They even have this little logo here. I hope you can see this nicely. This is TPU sort of sticking out of the frame. Nice attention to detail here. Also how the capacitor is integrated here. So overall this does seem very refined. All these TPU parts are great. You even have here on the antenna so that you can unscrew it easily. There's a bit of TPU on there, so they put a lot of care into the design. The only issue I could find is that the stack, and it's easy to fix, by the way. The stack screws are slightly too long, just really 2 or 3 millimeters, and they sort of prevent the battery strap to be able to go all the way back. So if you have the GoPro on there, as you can see, there's not a lot of space for the battery left, and you would want to have this further back, but it doesn't work. It's just blocked here, and in crashes, it really tends to get blocked also underneath the screws. So honestly, just put a few washers below the screw and you're absolutely fine. The other thing that bothered me slightly is that there's no way to get a second strap here in the back, because there is this TPU part here holding the receiver. But I guess you could, you could put, if you really want, you could have the battery strap go underneath this, should be fine. But here they could have solved this in a way that makes it possible to have a second strap, and also they could have adjusted the screw length here so that your strap isn't sort of stuck between the screws of the stack. But that's really the only criticism I could find about this overall setup. Oh, and by the way, a quick look of what's in the box. So you get everything you need: spare straps, spare battery pad, a few spare screws. Comes with 2 sets of props. There is also a bunch of spare connectors in here in case any of these break. So really cool. Comes with a hex key for the GoPro mount. So even some spare prop nuts. So everything you need is on board. There's a USB cable in case you don't have a mini USB cable. Well, whatever. It's in there in the package. So sort of really works great. I would say for the price of that thing, absolutely great. And then the only thing left to talk about basically is performance and who this is for. So let's talk about flight performance first, and I have to say, honestly, that doesn't happen too often, but I was impressed. I was impressed with how well this thing is set up. The tune, everything is just, there is literally zero prop wash, even with the heavy GoPro Hero 9, zero prop wash, nothing was, it was like magic. Rarely flew anything that has such a perfect tune. It was, really impressive. It's got a lot of power. It's a 6S version. It's got enough power. It really does perform absolutely great. I would claim, it makes it hard to build your own quad that performs that well. You probably won't be able to. Honestly, at this point, you're probably, even if as an experienced pilot that could just build their own quad, you're probably better off just not bothering and taking this out of the box, because it's so well set up. This thing was impressive. I have to say, the setup and the flight performance was quite impressive. It's really, really nice, really in control. The pit tune is amazing. So nothing I could even remotely criticize here with the overall setup in beta flight and how this thing performs. So who is this for? And I would say, honestly, this is something everybody could use. Specifically the 6S version here too, in my opinion. So this could be something for very experienced pilots that just don't want to bother building their own quads, because again, the performance is so great and the price is so good. Why would you bother building your own quads? For the pleasure of it, yes, but you could basically buy 2 of these and have a spare quad, spend 400 euros roughly, which is almost what a high-end DIY build will be, and just be fine for freestyling. Totally works. There's really almost nothing you could criticize about this. As a very experienced pilot, you're still going to be absolutely fine with this. But also for beginners, I don't see why a really total beginner couldn't use this. Yes, it's the 6S version, but honestly, I would recommend for a beginner to go for 6S, but using a throttle limit, because I see so many people, and I did the same thing, start with 4S, buy dozens of 4S batteries. I bought like 12 4S batteries, and then I switched to 6S, and I was left with all these useless batteries. So why not directly go for 6S? Because this is, 6S is the same price as the 4S version. Why not just go for 6S, throttle limit it to, I would recommend like 60%. Throttle limit it in beta flight to 60%, and you're going to be absolutely fine even as a total beginner. Alright, so overall conclusion, and I have to say in general, I'm very happy to see the FPV industry gain this level of maturity and really output high quality, well engineered and thought through products. Not only specifically iFlight, I would also mention Diato and HTLRC and others here. The sort of level of professionality and product maturity has increased a lot, and these BNF quads like this Nazgul5 V2 are really at a very, very high level of engineering and product quality and quality of the overall setup at the moment, and this is really great. So, as I said, I can recommend this basically to anyone, experienced pilots that don't want to bother building their own quad, beginners that are just starting off. This is really a great package for the price, and honestly, it really doesn't have any major flaw. There's nothing you really have to be worried about this. In my opinion, no parts that are sort of weak points that you need to switch in the beginning. It's really a great package. You're going to be happy and using this probably for a very long time. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you found this review useful. Don't forget to check out the affiliate links below to support the channel. Really grateful if you do that. And yeah, bye bye.